Since I have started homesteading, raising rabbits has been the most fun and rewarding experience I have had so far. Anytime someone asks me about raising them for me, I always get excited to tell them all about it. They are just so much easier in all aspects when you compare raising them to raising meat rabbits. Plus, in my opinion, it is so much more enjoyable. Welcome to the Rabbitat Homestead. My name's Ashley. This is part 1 of my Raising Meat Rabbits series, and today we're going to talk about breeding. I'm sure you've heard the saying, they breed like rabbits, right? Well, I'm not so sure how that saying came about, but what I do know is that at least domestic rabbits are not always easy to breed. When I brought home my last trio of rabbits, which if you're not familiar with a trio, it's 2 does and 1 buck, I ended up with one doe that passed away after having a miscarriage, and the other doe, who I named Thumper, she is just a very difficult doe to breed. It usually takes me a few days to get her bred. So my first advice to you is to ask questions when you are purchasing breeding rabbits from another homestead. You want to ask questions about the rabbit's mother. I say this because you don't always know what you are getting for a breeder when you purchase them. Typically, new does end up like their mother. If the mother is difficult to breed, so will her offspring. So when sourcing new breeding stock, whether it's a new doe or a proven doe, you still want to know if the doe will be difficult to breed. To avoid this issue going forward, I decided to start replacing my own breeding stock when I need to. Rather than getting new rabbits, I went ahead and started holding back breeders from my own litters. I recently had 2 Rex does that I was breeding with my silver fox buck. Those 2 does were very easy to breed. So I was able to get silver fox Rex crosses, and I kept a doe from one of those litters. This is the doe that I'm going to breed today, and her name is Lucky. This is going to be her second litter, and she was easy to breed the first time. The first time I bred her with my silver fox buck, and her kits are 3/4 silver fox. So I went ahead and rehomed my full Rex rabbits because I'm trying to get away from Rex rabbits altogether, and I kept another doe back from Lucky's litter. We named her Stormy, and she is mostly silver fox, and I think she will be a great breeder for us when the time comes and she is old enough. So you might ask, at what age can you start breeding your rabbits? It depends on the breed of rabbit you're raising. In previous videos, I've talked about breeding at 16 weeks old, and this is a good age for smaller breeds like Rex rabbits. And I have noticed that when I breed them sooner at 16 weeks rather than later, their litter sizes tend to be larger. Now with the larger breeds like silver foxes, the larger the breed, the more time it takes for the rabbits to reach maturity. Medium to large size meat breeds, those that mature at 6 to 11 pounds, are generally ready to be bred at 6 to 8 months of age. Producing babies young is strenuous for the larger breeds if you breed them too early. You can also check the rabbit's genital opening and see if it looks reddish. She is most likely ready to be bred. If it's pale or pink, she's most likely not ready to be bred. Bucks usually start breeding at 6 months of age. Rabbits do not go into heat at all. Instead, the physical act of breeding stimulates ovulation in the doe's reproductive system. Now before I breed my doe here, let me explain what I'm about to do so you have a better understanding while I'm doing it. I'm going to bring my doe to the buck's cage. Never bring the buck to the doe. Does are very territorial of their space and become aggressive because of that. You can also use a shared space to breed them. I sometimes use this PVC net and it works very well. You just never want to bring a buck to a doe's cage. Now once the doe is with the buck, you may see them run around in circles around the cage, and then the buck will mount the doe, and if the breeding is successful, she will lift and he will curl up and fall off the doe. This is called a fall off. You want to get at least 3 fall offs. I never leave my does alone in the cage with the buck because I want to see all 3 fall-offs, and I worry she might get irritated and lash out at the buck, so for that reason I monitor them. Now say you could only get 1 fall-off, try again in less than 24 hours, but no more than that. Now, as I mentioned, I had a silver fox rabbit that I bred at 6 months old, and towards the end of her pregnancy, she ended up having a miscarriage. I just went out there one day to take care of her, and I saw some underdeveloped kits in her hutch, so sometimes things like this happen. So just be aware of that. We ended up losing that doe a couple weeks later, but we have her sister Thumper, who has been difficult to breed, but she is a wonderful mother. A rabbit is pregnant for 28 to 31 days. My rabbits usually have their babies on day 31, and they usually have them at night. Now if day 35 comes around and she hasn't had her babies yet, go ahead and rebreed. On day 25, I give her the nesting box. And halfway through her pregnancy, I up her feed after about day 15. I usually give unlimited feed during this time. She's not going to eat as much right before she kindles, but she'll need the extra food after she kindles for the extra energy, and she's also going to be nursing. So when can you rebreed after having kits? A doe is capable of becoming pregnant 24 hours after giving birth, but I do not recommend this. Her body needs time to rest and recover. I personally choose to rebreed when her kits are anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks old, but that is a matter of what works for you. Spring and fall are the best times for me to breed. I usually give my rabbits a break in the middle of winter and in the middle of summer. Now, as you saw, I went ahead and I bred Lucky today, and it's fall time right now, so I went ahead and bred her when her kits that she currently has are 6 weeks old. So when her kits are 8 weeks old, they will be weaned, and then she'll have an extra 2 weeks to rest before she has her next litter. Now you might ask, when it comes to breeding, who can mate with who? Do not breed litter mates together, because their genes are so similar that when bred together, their offspring would get the negative traits, but more magnified from the litter mates breeding. The doe I bred today, I actually bred her with her father, my silver fox buck. So it is okay to breed a buck with its mother or a doe with its father. I did this today by breeding Lucky with my silver fox buck. Now if your does show any signs of aggression, I would replace that doe. Does have been known to castrate bucks, and sometimes the first time doe will kill their babies. I would replace her if that happened. It also happens when a doe is getting older and just does not want to have babies anymore. Well guys, this is the end. I hope this video was beneficial to you. I hope the information I put out helped you. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments down below. But also check out my Etsy shop. There's not a whole lot on there, but I do sell rabbit dispatchers and hangers for processing rabbits. These are the tools that we use ourselves, and they work very well for us. We've been doing it for a while, so definitely check that out. And in the meantime, I'll see you guys in part 2, and I'll see you in the next video. God bless.